So I'm not. Okay. We're live now.
We're live.
We're just going to give people a
few minutes
to join before we start.
Sounds good. I got my tea.
I got my tea too. I'm excited. Amy and I talk all the time, but it's exciting still to be on this call with you.
Well, and you need tea for a chat, you know?
Yes.
How I do. Yeah. What time is it in France?
It is 8 p.m. here. Okay. Just turned 8. Yeah.
2 o'clock New York.
Yeah, we're finally 6 hours away from you guys again. We were like 5 for a minute and it was throwing me off. Yeah, but I'll be back on East Coast time by the end of the week.
Is Juliet asleep?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She is. She's really good at sleeping.
That's good.
I know. I'm lucky.
I had one great sleeper and one not great sleeper.
Yeah, that's why I'm afraid to have another one because I don't want to jinx the situation.
You can never tell. And I will say that the temperaments kind of lived on through their lives, and as 19 and 20-year-olds, like they still have the temperament that they were born with.
Yeah.
So
I don't know what's happening. Oh, sorry, my screen just. All right. Well, should we get started?
Let's get started.
All right. Well, we'll introduce ourselves first. Amy, you go first.
My name is Amy Savitsky. Welcome everybody who's here. I was a nonfiction television executive and producer for a little over 20 years. I worked at a lot of different networks in my time, most recently the History Channel, A&E, and Lifetime. Had a lot of fun doing it. Telling people's true stories in all of its messiness sometimes. And a few years ago, I started feeling an inner pull to something else. I didn't know what. And I am now training to be a Jungian analyst, the world of psychoanalysis. I am transitioning to a new career after the universe decided it was time for me to move on. So that is me.
Yeah, amazing. I am calling from France, where I, with my husband, we have recently, just this last summer, purchased a bed and breakfast with a large farm in the back that we're converting into a permaculture farm project.
So beautiful.
Yeah. And I'm a mother of 2 kids, and I also am a shamanic practitioner. I'm also a hypnotherapist, a writer, and also, as you are, steeped in the world of myth and storytelling.
Myth, storytelling, dreams. You know what? I didn't mention I'm also a mother of 2.
Yes,
a wee bit older than you.
Yeah, I'm at the beginning. You're at the end.
I'm watching them. They're being launched into life right now. My young adult, my young women. Yeah.
Yeah. So Amy and I really want to talk about more about how you went from television into this work. But before we kind of go into our stories and how we've come together, we wanted to introduce the work that Amy and I are doing together now, which is our workshop coming up in May called Motherhood, Myth, and Memoir, where we're going to be exploring the archetype of the mother and the unconscious, as well as in our collective story, in our world, in our earth, and our collective myths. And then looking at how she shows up in our personal stories and our bodies and our psyches, and how that there's that interplay between the collective and our personal story, and ultimately writing a memoir or parts of a memoir to share with the world, to alchemize the experience of what it's been to be mothered in this world right now.
Or in some cases, not mothered, or
Yeah.
not adequately mothered. For some
Yeah.
people, that's just
Yeah.
true.
Yeah, it is. And I think this work is really powerful because the point of it is sort of to make this archetype or this figure in our life and conscious. Because once it becomes conscious and we can start to see these patterns, that's when it starts to change for us. So the process of writing is, more of this spiritual exploration and personal alchemy.
Yeah, it definitely an inner, it's requires a little bit of inner attunement, because there is the literal mother that we have and that maybe we are, but then there is our inner mother, and it's much more multifaceted than we could ever imagine. And it has a huge impact on relationships and the way we move through the world, the way we interact with others, the way we react to others. And so, through looking at myth and through exploring dreams, we can get to know our inner mother in a much more intimate way.
Yeah. Yeah, that internalized voice and perspective that tells us whether or not we're safe, whether or not, we can do something or not do something. It's a big part of our creative force, our, force of fertility within us, both men and women, not just
Absolutely.
women. Yeah. Yeah, so I'm really excited about it, and excited that we're finally working together. Amy and I have been close friends on this path together for like 6 years now.
About 6 years. We met, I feel like it was right at the top of 20, wait, it might
Yeah,
be
right before,
2019.
yeah, it was 19. Yeah, yeah, and we went through the whole COVID experience together, and
We did.
a massive expansion for both of us of transformation and change, and yeah,
Still going.
it's still happening.
Still going on. It's still happening. Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you, just to talk about what that journey has been like for you. How did you go from working in network television and, well, yes, you were still steeped in storytelling. You were telling people's stories and our historical stories when you were at History Channel, but how did that journey morph into what you're doing now at the Jungian Institute? And
it's interesting. I even think I wrote one of my first Substacks about this, which was when the entire time I was in television, and I'm deeply grateful for all of my time in that career. It was truly a wonderful experience, but I was not really consciously creating, and or attuning to what was underneath the stories. Were like, what were these themes, and what was really being said here about certain kinds of relationships in the stories that we were putting up on the screen. And I want to say it was really right around the time of COVID, because what happened was, for me, the world kind of shut down, as everyone knows, right? My company went remote. And so therefore, my morning and evening commute was gone. And there was just a lot of space that started to open up that was devoted to other things before, socializing and commuting and all of that. And I started to notice my eye turn inward. And reflecting on my life as it was, as it's been, I ended up, what's really started me was I took a year-long training in embodied dream work. And that just opened me up to the language of dreams and
Mm.
the way that dreams can really guide us if we let them and if we know how to work with them. And from there, it just kept evolving. Oh, sorry. From there, it just kept evolving. Again, this was all during COVID. When we were in remote the whole time, I ended up going back to school and getting a degree in transpersonal psychology, which was really, again, focused on the inner experience, the nature of consciousness. Um, Studied a lot of myth, and eventually found my way, or I should say, I feel like I was pulled toward where I am now, which is in Jungian analytic training. Now, I will say, like, just to say, put a fine point on it, I was actually part of a big round of layoffs in the late summer of 2024, I guess it was.
Yeah.
And even though I didn't feel ready, um, the universe decided it was time. And it was like, it's time
Yeah.
for you to
Yeah.
get on, get along, like go on to the next thing.
I was like waiting for it to
I know
happen.
you were, and it was, and it's
Because
funny
I'm
because
like,
I
it's
know
gonna
you,
happen because you were calling it. You knew within you, like, and it wasn't that you didn't necessarily want to work in television anymore or telling stories through the
right?
screen. It was more like the types of stories you wanted to be telling and the depth at which they needed to be coming from. That's what you were.
You're 100% right. Stories have been a part of my life since I was a very little girl. I mean, books were my first friend, right? And my constant companion through this ride we call life. So it was never about I want to leave TV because I'm done with stories. But to your point, the nature of the stories and the way in which I wanted to work with them started to evolve. And so in this training I'm in now, when you're sitting one on one in a room with someone in a very intimate way, hearing their stories, the
Yeah.
stories of their particular unique life, which
Yeah.
is very different than curating and producing a story that's
Yeah.
being put on TV for a
Yeah.
large audience.
And I imagine too, you're doing dream work with them. So these themes that are also present in myth and the same symbols that are present in myth are coming up in people's dreams, which is like you have this inner myth maker that's like, showing you or trying to direct you towards things
Yeah.
using these symbols, using the language of myth.
And a big part of my particular type of training, because there's many different ways people train in the world of the psychoanalytic world, a big part of it is dream work, myth, symbol, archetypes, in addition to the clinical, but more deeply clinical aspects. And this isn't true for all branches of psychology or psychoanalytic work. It really was something that Carl Jung,
Hmm.
I don't want to say discovered, but recognized as important to understanding ourselves and our orientation in the world. So, yeah.
Hmm.
So I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So, should we talk about what this course is, like what this offering is,
Hmm.
and why and how this particular offering came up for you as the thing to do now?
Yeah, sure. Well, for me, in my own personal life story, I think that the major catalyst for me to undergo what I have recognized as the mythic structure, the one that Joseph Campbell writes about, that can be seen sort of universally in many myths. This experience of descent and crisis, transformation, and return. That for me was first experience just within the process of giving birth,
Mhm.
when I had a son, and then carried into becoming a mother. It completely changed me. It changed my entire worldview. And it was the thing that got me to say, who am I? anymore. And I need to find that. And I need to connect with that little thing that I can't even describe. It's like that. I guess it's your soul, right? It's like that feeling inside of you that is just like, I need to reconnect with that truth of who I am, the thing that allows me to shine fully for who I am. And I was motivated to do that because of my child, right? And his birth broke that open, that change open in me. And as I started to go on that journey very naively in the beginning, my whole life started to unravel. And I started to experience not just the issues that were in my relationship, in my personal relationships in a bigger way, but also just in the relationship to like what it's like to be a mother in this society and to become a mother in this society who just like, tells you, okay, you've had 6 weeks, go back to work and you're on disability. And there's like literally no support and you're isolated. And
Yeah.
so it was like this experience of like, whoa, what, it woke me up. Let's just say it woke me up. And it also, me going on this path, it created a big rift with my own mother and showed me the complexities and enmeshment and all of the things that I wasn't fully aware of yet in my relationship with her. And it was very much a process of me individuating from her.
Which can be painful, right?
Extremely. And she, she's not able to hold that whatsoever. I won't go into the devouring mother archetype, but I see a lot of my story and that mythic structure. And yeah, I don't have a relationship with her really anymore. It destroyed our relationship. And yeah, so I've kind of really had this mother on my mind, right? Because it's been the catalyst for my own mythic journey, my own journey of becoming, my own journey of awakening my consciousness and awareness, self-awareness. And I look at the world that we're in right now, and I see that we're all, in a way, crying for our mother, right? We don't, our relationship with the earth is very complicated right now. We're experiencing massive climate issues and fears. I think climate anxiety is like officially a thing. They have like a whole suite of therapists for this.
Yeah.
But also this disconnection that we have with the earth and the shadow mother that is existing, not just in our personal lives, but also in the collective, and then reflected in our relationship with the earth herself, who is our mother. So there's so many layers to this, but it's all kind of like part of the same.
So tell me, I'm just curious. So what about the memoir piece? Can you talk a little bit about well, what is memoir? Right?
Yeah.
What is memoir? And why writing?
Mm.
Why is that a way through which one can work with and reveal and metabolize the mother?
Mm. Well, first, to go back to memoir, memoir and myth, they ask the same questions. They look at, who am I? Where have I come from? And they really start to try to explore and get at meaning, right? What does my life mean? What does this life mean? How is it connected? How, it's sort of a way to look at how things are being woven together to create that meaning or that understanding, deeper understanding of something that is also a mystery and very complex to understand, things that we're not conscious of. And a memoir is different than, let's say, like an autobiography, because you're not just chronologically telling all the things that happened to you in your life. That's not the point of it. The point of it is really to look at a larger theme. So in this case, maybe it's one aspect of the mother archetype or the mother, herself. But it's looking at a particular theme, or almost like a thesis statement, a hypothesis about life, something that's eating at you or on you, something that your life has taught you through your experience. And then as you write this memoir, it's really more about that.
Mm-hmm.
You're sort of curating the stories in your life that have shed light on that has provided you wisdom or perspective or experience on that theme.
So that's super interesting, because what I'm hearing when you say that is the memoir has a lot that is deeply personal, but potentially reveals some universal truths, or
Yeah,
explores a universal topic or a universal theme that probably many people will encounter.
yeah. And
Okay.
that's, why they're powerful. And I think we can even see that through Substack, right? Like people are writing about these, some people, not everyone writes like this, but some people are writing about these larger themes that we're all sitting with right now at this time. And they're exploring it through their personal story. And for me, when I read that and it resonates with me, or I understand what someone's going through because I've gone through something similar, or I can relate to what they've experienced in their life or connect with them through that telling. It helps me to not only not feel alone, but to alchemize that experience myself through their story. And it also inspires me to learn or know how to write my own. Yeah.
I love that.
And I think our stories are so important to tell right now for ourselves, but also for connection between each other and like for the future generations. I think about if my great great grandmother, who I haven't met and I've only heard pieces of her story passed down that are incomplete, if she would have written a memoir, how would that impact me now, right? Knowing that, like, wow, she went through that and these were her internal thoughts about this.
And it would give you a piece of your own story in some ways, because that's your lineage. That's your in your maternal line,
It would, yes.
feminine line, one of the feminine lines in your family.
Yeah.
So she would have left behind for you not only her own story and the way she related to her life, but your story too.
Yeah. And her wisdom, and that's a big thing that I think our culture is missing. We're missing those wisdom keepers, those voices of our grandmothers are that lend us the help to know how to navigate these dark waters that we're in, right? Where
Yeah.
everything seems like they're falling apart. And myth does that too, right? That's what myth is for.
I mean, myth is, it's interesting. The way I think about myth is stories that aren't necessarily true in that they happened in real life, but they tell you something true about life.
Mm,
Or even I'll go another layer. They tell you something true about your interior life, about the psycho spiritual life.
mm,
And that's why I think myth is, once you start to develop a mythic ear, and we can talk about that a little bit, because I know for some people they might have a feeling that, hearing myth or reading myth is like Shakespeare, and Shakespeare is not everyone's cup of tea, because it's in a very different kind of language than what we're used to. And many myths can be that as well. Um, how would you respond if someone said to you, well, I don't know, like the myths might be a hard thing for me to grasp onto because
I
of.
would say that's completely understandable for most people. They would be. They speak in the same language as dreams.
Yeah.
You wake up from your dream at night and you're like, what like, what did that mean?
Yeah.
Yes, our dreams speak. And I'm also a poet. I went to an MFA and studied poetry for a few years. And it's an art form, right? There's ways to decode it and look at it. And you do need to study a bit to, you know, be able to work with that type of language. But there's also another way of looking at it where I feel that, and I'm guilty of this too. It's just a product, I think, of being raised in this Western culture. It's like we try to squeeze meaning out of things. Like, I don't understand what it means. Or, maybe we have a shamanic journey and we, saw a spirit animal in it. And then we like run to the computer to try to understand, like, what does that spirit animal mean or represent? Or we have a dream and we start looking up the dream symbols to try to understand it. And there's this other way of being with these things, which is to let it work on you, to
Mhm.
feel it in your body,
Mhm.
to just close your eyes and be like, you know, where do I feel the energy of a raven in me? You know, and can I even have the experience of somatically opening my body to the experience of being a raven, even? And can I allow myself and my busy mind, analytical mind, to be quiet so that I can receive the messages that this symbol has come here to offer me? And that takes practice.
No, it does take practice, and I'm just going to add on to that. I have found, um, so I think I told you that I spent a year studying myths of the feminine,
Mm,
with a group of women, a small group of women, and we went through several different feminine myths, and we would we would almost like sit around the virtual campfire, and there was a telling of the myth, a beautiful telling of the myth, and we were there to listen, and as you say, let it work on us. And there were a couple aspects to this. One of the aspects was letting it work on us in such a way that something creative would bubble forth. Sometimes, in this instance, it would be writing, right, in what we're offering, but it can be many different ways that the myth can bubble out creatively. But the other way is through your own dreams,
mm,
because the myth is going right inside there, right into the psyche, and it's going to activate what's inside of you. And so if you pay really close attention and you write your dreams down, all right, you hear a myth, and the next few days, the dreams start coming, they will start to reveal to you some of your own relationship to the myth
mm.
and offer some guidance for you. So I have found that myth hearing and myth telling in particular is very stirring of the psyche, and
Mm.
come that are quite out of the ordinary. Not just
Yes.
regular, like I saw a chicken and it was eating a hamburger. Like I'm talking like stuff that
Yeah.
in itself feels mythological. And if you know how to work with the dream material, you can get some really valuable guidance and information about yourself, your
Yeah.
inner landscape.
And I know this from my own experience of working dreams with you. We have a little dream thread going where we share our dreams. And for a little while, we were like really active. There was Amy and I and two other women in it. And we shared our dreams every day for almost a year, right? I mean, it was a while.
Yeah.
And the dreams that we were having during that time were so significant. They they really were like this built-in guide that was working with us through everything that we were working with. And then sometimes our dreamscapes would overlap and we would get messages for each other. And
Yeah.
it was
I'm
quite
in a dream
incredible.
circle now. I'm in. I still have you guys, and then I'm in a dream circle with some women who went through some of the Jungian
Mm,
training with me early on, and so we meet once a month to work with dreams as well. And since we're talking about this, like it's worth mentioning that part of the offering is dream work.
yes,
So if whether you're skilled at it or a complete novice, have never written down a single dream or attempted to decipher it, we will be doing that as part of this offering, because they really do work hand in hand with myth
they do.
and
And also
writing.
the experience of creative writing and writing in general. Was something that I've learned that has been a bit of an intersection between my shamanic work, my work in hypnotherapy, and altered states of consciousness through meditation and drumming and those modalities, that when we can get the body and the subconscious mind activated through those modalities, which is kind of like going into a dream because you're going into the same brainwave state, you can start to get past that monkey mind that gets you stuck in writer's block or confusion, And you can start to receive your story that way. You start to see it, you start to feel it, and it will start to open up those pathways that will allow you to kind of sit down and channel through what you're writing, or what you want to be writing.
Yeah. There's a
Yeah.
whole book. You are absolutely right. There's a whole book. I forget the name of it, right? But it's about real stories of well-known creative people who had creative breakthroughs or got their creative ideas through their dream. Whether it was a song, a whole novel that came out,
Yeah.
the answer to a scientific problem, like it came channeled through their dream life.
Yes. Some major things,
Yeah.
major things, that major stories, major inventions came through dream.
I'm just
And
looking at this question. Do you want to
yeah,
answer? So
yeah, sure, Joe, your question. We're offering a 9-month workshop called Motherhood, Myth, and Memoir, starting in May, where we're going to be exploring the archetype of the mother, the great mother, and all of her many faceted faces, shadows. And then we're going to, through that study of myth, be simultaneously writing a memoir. So it's a 2-part workshop where you're going to be steeped in myth and dream work and symbolism, and then looking at how these patterns have also shown up within our personal lives.
how they
So that
live in you, like,
and
and
how
not
they live in
having
you.
a not just like a this is what it is, but like how is it living in you? How much are you? What's your relationship to it? And there's a lot of it. The mother is multifaceted, and there are parts of it that we are not in contact with. So our hope is to deepen our contact with this.
Yes. And we're going to do that through dream work, through shamanic journeying, through hypnosis, through all of these modalities that will help us to get in contact with the subconscious, who speaks in the language of myth
And symbol.
and symbol. And also doing some somatic work to really experience how these energies are living in our bodies and affecting the way that we see the world and experience the world, the things that we give ourselves permission to do or not to do, how we know ourselves, how we relate to ourselves and others. And ultimately looking at this work is important because we're at a time right now where we're sort of all like, we need this change, right? Like some people are, I see it all over the place, asking for matriarchy, but what is that? What are they really asking for? We're asking for something that doesn't exist in our current reality, because we've been in this system for our entire lives, and it's been this way for a long time. So these to me are the processes, the steps, the work that needs to be done to really become the individuals that are able to hold the vision of the new earth, or whatever you want to call it, a different way.
Absolutely. And I'm just going to add too that, and if you're someone who wants to get your creative juices flowing, whether you consider yourself a creative or you want to be more creative, and you've been thinking about your story, and maybe you're going through something in life, or you're starting to feel the call to inner transformation, like this will do all of those things.
Yeah.
Right? It'll get creative juices flowing with a creative group of people who are all looking at their life and their story and their inner reflection through the lens of the mother. And again, just for clarification, we don't mean like your mother. That's a piece of it, absolutely. But the great mother in her different aspects.
Yeah.
Which is positive and negative.
Yes.
Right? Not just like the nurturing to the bosom, milk and honey. There's also the devouring, destructive aspect of the mother. And by the way, we have all of that within each of us. And oftentimes we're not aware of that, and we're not in touch with it. And so hopefully by going through this process together, we'll all get our creative juices going and flowing, and get to know a little bit more about ourselves and each other.
Yeah. Yeah. And the patterns that are working on us,
Yeah,
because they do.
I mean, that's this new work that I'm moving into is, part of a big part of it is bringing what's unconscious up into consciousness, so that we can work with it and
Yeah.
work primary ways we do that is through dream work, and there are other ways too. But yeah, it's a slow process of pulling those things up from the depths.
Yeah.
But this is one way that we'll be pulling some of the mother up from the depths. Mm-hmm.
And if you would like to experience it before we do our full-blown class, Amy and I are going to be doing a by donation workshop, so you just pay what you can.
Yep.
To bring community together on this topic. And we're going to be specifically, this is on April 14th, so coming up, we're going to be specifically exploring the devouring mother. We'll be telling some stories where she is present. And then really looking at who is the devouring mother? How does she show up, not just in our relationship with our own mothers or society, but who is she within us, right? What aspect of her lives within us? Where is her voice? How does she, take a toll on us? How does she relate to the other parts of us? What role?
You don't have to be an actual mother to have an inner devouring mother. Just
no,
yeah.
No. So yeah, we're going to read some stories about her. We're going to journey to her, do a little bit of somatic work to get into contact with her, and then have a collective writing experience and sharing if you would like to share. And that will be our first workshop, which will be a little bit of a taste of what the course will be like.
Sorry, my guys, my monitor keeps shutting down. Okay. I was like going to say, come get deep and creative with us. Come dive into the depths and get your creative juices flowing in our little taster workshop. And you can get a deeper sense of what the longer form course will be like and what it's like to work with us.
Yeah. And yes, I will be sending an invite out on this. I'll send it in my notes thread, and I'll also send it through my Substack email. If you are subscribed, you will receive it there also.
This wasn't writing, but when I was doing my year-long course on the mythical feminine with a beautiful teacher and group of women, the year I took that course, it ended, I want to say, July 2024, and I was laid off in August of 2024.
Oh, wow.
Part of a big, the media has been undergoing a lot of rounds of layoffs, and it was very unexpected at the time. And I will tell you, one of the things that got me through was, in particular, one of the myths, the Sumerian myth of Inanna, which is all about descent. And again, we're talking about, an inner descent, and going into an inner darkness. And there was such guidance in that myth that I kept turning back to for the several months after. And it really kept me anchored to a truth about cycles of life, death, and rebirth.
Yeah.
That I would not have had a reference point for had I not spent time with those myths.
Yeah.
So they can be really valuable companions through your life. Many different facets, good, bad, ugly, and everybody, and definitely we as women, go through the life, death, rebirth cycle many times in our lives.
Yeah.
And so layoff is just one way that can happen, but it can happen through divorce. It can happen through children leaving home. There's a lot of ways that we are invited into a descent. And I say invited because if you choose to make the descent consciously, it makes all the difference in the world than if you try to fight it, kicking and screaming.
Yeah. Or try to ignore it and cling on to the old life.
Exactly. You
end up in misery and then becoming usually the shadow aspect of yourself.
True. Right? And it's not that doing it consciously is fun. Don't get me wrong. But it allows you to make meaning. There is meaning in the suffering. And if you can find meaningless suffering is very hard to bear.
It is.
Hard. Suffering that you can find meaning in, it's still suffering, but it's bearable because it's meaningful. That's the only best way I can say it.
I mean, I've been experiencing that through my physical separation from my son, you know, um,
Yeah.
just that entire story and how it's panned out at the moment, you know. Um,
Yes.
and it's debilitating. Sometimes I feel that it's going to destroy me, you know. It's so painful and complex, and I don't know, you know, why or the answers to how to fix it. And for me, the Welsh myths, the Mabon ap Modron. I don't know if you're familiar with them, but
Not as
um,
much. Well, you can teach me.
there's well, you know, Mabon. It's like that pagan festival at the harvest time, and the stories are a little bit like that. It's like in all of them, a mother has the loss of her child endured somehow, and it's usually taken from her. It's not something that she wants. And through the experience of that, not just the mother, but the child also, it's like almost like necessary for their own becoming, for their own story. So looking at that and looking at how this particular theme, this particular thing that I'm experiencing in my life has been written about in myths for centuries, um, it just helps me at least to say, okay, there's something else
Yeah.
going on here that I'm going through, and I will come on the other end of it. And there is purpose and there is meaning to it that I will discover. And yeah, it allows me to be with the storm a little bit, right? Because I know that it's working on me in a way that, you know, will have purpose and meaning for the world in the future.
And it brings you in relationship with the bigger human story, because myths has been around for way longer than any of the rest of us, right? So we're living our individual stories. And sometimes that can feel, you can feel very alone,
Yeah.
right? The only one going through or experiencing this thing in this way. And there's something about connecting to myth that connects you to the bigger web of the human experience that
Mhm.
is soothing,
Yeah.
even in, especially in the hardest times.
Yeah.
This is why this is one reason why myths exist. Human beings are trying to make sense of life and their place in the universe.
Yes.
And that's why they're here, right? And so
And
yeah,
also the planet, right? Like what the phenomena that is happening in this paradoxical world that is both life-giving and nurturing and also um, murderous and harrowing and
it's like a massive collective descent. Let's just name
right.
it. Like that's there's something, we're in this liminal place of something ending and something wanting to begin, but right now it feels like a massive collective descent. And so having a mythical orientation can be very helpful for weathering
Yes.
times like these.
Yes. And it gives us the wisdom and perspective on how to move forward. And speaking of a mother myth at this time, is the myth of Ostara or Easter, right? It's the rebirth of the goddess in her maiden form, and she's about to become a mother, right? She's about to give birth to the land after going through this sort of barren experience of the winter. And we have the story also in the Christian religion or Catholic religion, which is the one I was raised in, which is the story of Jesus, right? He's gone through this experience of being crucified, and there's this, you know, darkness, there's this grief, this sadness. And then right at this time of the spring, there's the rebirth and the return, the resurrection. So there's always that pattern, not just in our stories and myths, but also in nature. And I think if we look at our collective experience right now, we're experiencing a collapse on the large scale, but each of us are also experiencing it in our lives, and the anxiety that we have over, like, am I going to lose my job? Am I going to lose, you know, all of the things, right? What's going to happen? And I think myth can sort of anchor us into not just the truth of who we are and what our souls are calling us towards, but also how a lens at which to look at the greater picture. Um,
Yes.
I think of my husband. He teaches the Andean cosmovision and mythic structure, and the elders, when they're asked about times like now, or even when the colonizers came in and invaded their lands, the wisest elders were not too worried about it because they knew that in their spiraling cycle of creation that had so many layers, right? That it will come back around, right? There will be this cycle. It's a cycle. It's not a straight line.
Yeah.
So it's definitely important, and I think an anchor for what we're going through now, both personally and collectively.
Beautifully said. What haven't we said that you want to say while we're still on? Is there anything we haven't covered or talked about?
No, I think we could open it if anyone who's been tuning in or maybe just joined has questions for us or comments or wants to share anything before we close our talk.
And I think we said it, but I'll just say it out loud again. You do not have to be a mother to join us for this, because we all have a mother. So,
Yes.
and the great mother lives within and around and among all of us. So you do not have to be a mother to be a part of our group. We would love to have you.
Yes.
I'm just seeing Joe talking about being in relationship with the anonymous. Yeah, that's a good one, Joe. Yep.
I've heard of inner children, but not inner mother. Yes, we definitely have an inner mother, and we have an inner father too. Yeah, can you expand on that, Amy? The inner mother.
Can I expand on the inner mother?
Yeah.
So the inner mother is different for each one of us, and deeply influenced first and foremost by our personal mother, right? Like how we were mothered, who our mother was to us. And the truth is, even with the best of mothers, they do the best they can, and they often leave a wound, right? Even with the very best of mothers. And some people don't have the very best of mothers, they have deep wounds. So you have your own experience with your mother that you internalize in ways that you're not always aware of. And then we have what Rose and I are talking about here, which is the archetypal great mother, the expressions of which can be found most often in myth. So these are facets of the mother that are in, again, if I'm going to go in Jungian terms, that are in the collective unconscious, right? They exist on that mythical archetypal realm that we all have access to, mostly unconsciously, right? But if you start trying to make contact through myth and through your dreams, you can start getting a better and bigger picture of this mother image within yourself. Right? So that's the simplified way to do it without getting too into clinical technical terms. But and as Rose says, that is true for the father or the inner patriarch, absolutely for the child. Yeah, we have a lot of inner figures, and what happens with a lot of people is when we are not in contact or relationship with them or trying to get to know them, they can run our lives without us knowing it, right? So if you find yourself in a mood and you don't know why, if you find yourself having a very strong negative reaction to somebody or a very strong positive reaction to somebody, usually it's one of the inner figures that is being activated in you if you're not aware of it. And you can find yourself saying or behaving in certain ways that you wonder later, like, what just happened? Like, why did I say that? Why? That's an inner figure, an inner archetype. That's yeah. Hope that answers that question.
Yeah.
Just a little.
Yeah, sometimes I became aware of mine very strongly when I started to realize that I had this like inner judger. And I realized that like I don't even know if I can see or experience my life without the lens of my mother's judgment being the first and foremost thing that I process that through. And then when I really got to be with it and like, why is the lens colored this way, if you will? And then start to track back, like, what are her worries? What are her beliefs? What are her,
Mm-hmm.
uh, what is she trying to protect me from?
Mm-hmm.
That became very insightful for me to listen to that part, understand that part, and then allow that part to be free of the burden of trying to protect me. Because in reality, it wasn't really serving me, even though it thought it was protecting me. And once I can shift and alchemize that by making it conscious, then it opened me up to a whole new way of experiencing life and other people and relating. So it was massive.
In hearing that, you just made me think, right? So you're talking about what started to come into awareness for you around this voice that was within you based on a relationship with your mother. The other piece of this is that we absorb the collective ideas of mother, and
Yes.
that influences how we think of mother, whether we're mothers or how we think of being mothered and what that means and what that feels like. So there's a whole confluence of things that come into play here that make up this inner mother. It is not simple, and it can take a lot of time to start to get to know it, and it's not all pretty.
No.
Not. And like one of the hardest things to reckon with is that we have ugliness in ourselves. Like we
We
all do. Like and that's what some people sort of cavalierly refer to as shadow work. Shadow work isn't just bad things. It's all the things that are good and bad. The gold's in there too, but there it can be a lot of challenging, not so pretty things that we don't know about ourselves, that as we start to learn about ourselves can be very challenging to reckon with. It's part of becoming more of a conscious human being.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Mashal, I hope I'm saying your name correctly, by the way. I see your question about writing your mythic story. And yes, this would be a great place to do that. Absolutely. Yeah. I guess I should also mention that we're going to be talking about some of these larger ideas and themes, but we do anchor it through these practices like dream work, journeying, somatic sort of meditation, body work. But I will also be giving you framework to help you actually plan out and write your memoir. So if you've never written a memoir before and you don't feel like you're a writer and you have no idea where to start, that's totally okay, because we're going to hold your hand through that process and give you sort of a step-by-step template of what you could work off of. And also, I will recommend a few memoirs that I think are excellent that would be good, just mentor texts that you could read as well to get into the understanding of how to write a mythic memoir, right? To sort of write your story through the mythic lens. And I feel if you don't take the course or even just are interested and want to get started on that, I highly recommend Joy Harjo. She's the U.S. Poet Laureate right now. She is Muskogee Creek Nation daughter. And she's an excellent writer, and she has this beautiful memoir called Poet Warrior, and I highly recommend it as a mythic memoir.
And for what you said about memoir, I said it before, but I'll just say it again for anybody who's joined since then. What Rose said about writing a memoir is also true for the dream work we'll be doing. Doesn't matter if you've never written down a single dream. We'll be showing you how to listen to them, how to work with them, how to develop your mythic ear, your symbolic ear. One of the reasons I found my way particularly to the Jungian analytic world is through dream work. It's one of the primary ways that the unconscious speaks to us, and can give just so much guidance, but also correct our ego stance, right?
Mm-hmm.
We think this is how we feel or what we know about something. Dreams also say, but wait a minute, not quite, right? They they will show us what's really how we really feel inside, or what really needs to be considered on the inside. So so don't worry if you haven't worked with dreams before, or if you already do and you want to deepen your dream work practice, this is the place for you.
Yeah. Amazing. I'm excited.
Me too.
It's going to be quite a beautiful journey, and I'm looking forward even just to be in community with others who are embarking on this work together. I think that's another really important layer of this work that we will do together, is to be witnessed by each other in our process.
Yeah. Hope to see some of you in the chat. Hope to see you join us.
Yeah, thank you, Joe. Thanks for being here. And I think that's all, right? Is there anything else you wanted to chat? No?
No, I don't think so. I think we kind of covered it.
Yeah, I think we're complete. Roger, you just joined, but we're just ending.
We're complete. But you're going to post a recording, yeah?
I am going to post the recording. So if you do not subscribe to either Amy or I, if you subscribe, you will get an email with this recording in it. And otherwise, you might see it on the notes stream. But I hope to see some of you in our workshop on the 14th and or in our longer container starting in May.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, my friend.
All right.
Love you.
Love you too.
See you later.
See you later. Bye.